Hello, guys, and welcome to the show. I'm going to tell you what. All the inventions we've had through history, like the light bulb, the telephone, Graham Bell, the light bulb, and the wheel even, going back to the wheel. There's big inventions. Every once in a while we have a big invention comes along. But you can always trace it back to the inventor. This is a huge mystery. Who created Bitcoin? Because Bitcoin, the invention itself is as big as the light bulb. Heck, it's as big as the wheel. But we don't have any idea or any clue who the real inventor is. Now I got to give credit where credit is due. Vic Swear. Now all these other ones. These guys coming forward saying they're Satoshi Nakamoto. I kind of laugh about it, But there's one that I'm not laughing about, who I think very likely could very well be involved in the creation of Bitcoin. Maybe he's not Satoshi, but I think that maybe he's involved, and maybe he was involved with the ones who worked together that were basically a composite that made up Satoshi. I think it's a composite, not just one individual, but a group, probably a group of very powerful computer scientists, geniuses, working on this project. But working on it for who? Let's read a little bit here, and I got to give credit to Wick's Beer on this one. Vic Swear, sorry. Sometimes I get a little bit dyslexic, Anyway, I gotta give credit to Vic Swear on this one, but let's read about it. Let's start the charts right here and take a look. Satoshi Nakamoto, identity defined, and he says, who is Satoshi Nakamoto? The creator of 2009 white paper of Bitcoin and the blockchain. As pure speculation, my thoughts is it's most likely an alias or a group of individuals. Now see, it's been my line of thinking all along, that it's a group of individuals. It's not any one specific person. It says this group is most likely comprised of individuals from the NSA. Yeah, see, that fits right in. This is exactly what I think. The Federal Reserve, exactly what I think. The Exchange Stabilization Fund, exactly what I think. And MIT programmers and statisticians. I think this is right on the mark. I think this is where Bitcoin actually come from. It says some of the forensic evidence dates back from the mid-1990s. In 1996, 3 members of the NSA published a white paper entitled How to Make a Mint: The Cryptography of Anonymous Electronic Cash, basically describing Bitcoin. And this is way back in the 1990s, way before Bitcoin was created. It says in the paper it mentioned a form of blockchain and used repeatedly the words coin and bit. So, I mean, it's practically this paper that they've made from the NSA, this white paper, practically describes it, even uses the words coin and bit, or Bitcoin. The Federal Reserve, the 2 big-to-fail banks, and the Exchange Stabilization Fund all know that U.S. fiat dollars is coming to an end. This is no secret. What they know versus us is when it will die. These entities knew that a new monetary system would be needed to be birthed. Many did not know that Alan Greenspan, and this is the guy I'm telling you about right here, and I'm not laughing. When they say that he might be Satoshi, I don't think directly he's Satoshi, but I think he could very well have been involved in all of this. And that's my own personal opinion on it. It says, many do not know that Alan Greenspan invented the computer language called BASIC back in the 1960s. It was this computer programming that the entire Western world banking system ran on. This is part of the reason he was made head of the Federal Reserve in the 1980s. Brilliant computer programmers and statisticians that worked for the Federal Reserve, Exchange Stabilization Fund, and MIT and the big banks. J.P. Morgan, with Blythe Masters, designed and tested the blockchain cryptocurrency platform. Once it was perfected, they released the white paper in 2009 and began the birthing process of the blockchain and Bitcoin. The open source format made it possible for the public to kick the tires. And take it for a test drive. It also allowed other brilliant developers to put their own twist and improvements on the open source program. Thus we have the birth of Litecoin, Ethereum, and hundreds of other altcoins. Yeah, but see, going back to this time when they first created Bitcoin, there's Bitcoin, there's Litecoin. And a lot of these other coins didn't exist at the time. I believe, my own personal opinion, that these guys that created it are running with a plan. And that's what this whole article is basically talking about here, is that there's actually a plan that goes way back to when they first published the white paper from the NSA. Says how to make a mint, the cryptography of anonymous electronic cash. You know? This was going all the way back in 1996. 13 years before Bitcoin came out. That's a long time. So for them to actually sit down and work this thing out, figure out how it works, and then formulate a plan. Once they had the Bitcoin, once they released it, they probably already had the overall plan initialized. In other words, they already knew what they were going to do in the overall scheme of things as this thing progressed. So not only just releasing the Bitcoin, creating the Bitcoin, but they had 13 years to plan it there before they released it. From 1996, when they wrote that paper, to when Bitcoin was actually released. 13 years to plan it. To well plan it out. Plan it out all the way into the future, what Bitcoin was going to do. So, if they had this plan for Bitcoin established, an established plan of probably even how high it's going to go and when and everything, this established plan, well-established plan, how do these new coins that just basically came along because the software is open-sourced and these new coins are able to come along and utilize that same software, would those coins be part of the original plan? Probably not, because they weren't conceived until after the open source software was released and it grew. See? And this is why I think that an awful lot of these coins are going to end up dying, because they're probably not part of the plan. And so, because they're not part of the actual plan, then the conceivers of this whole plan would just basically say, well, they're like weeds in a garden. All these other coins are like weeds in a garden. They're unwanted pests. They're going to protect the coin that they originally planned to go with. That's their tomato plant that they're watering every day, and they're pulling the weeds around it, and they're making sure it grows properly and everything else, making sure that it has a lightning network established and everything else, you know. Where all these other are like the other weeds in the garden. Sure, they're growing and they're being left alone to grow, but they're not growing like the main tomato plant that's being watered every day. And this is why that main tomato plant, which is Bitcoin, has got more than 50% of the entire market capital on one coin. I believe that this money would be more evenly distributed amongst the other plants, so to speak, you know, if they were being watered and tended. You know, this is what I think. This is the way I see it personally, but that's what I see, you know. It says brilliant computer programmers and statisticians that work for the Federal Reserve Exchange Stabilization Fund, MIT, and the big banks. Okay, so I've read that already. Sorry, I don't want to go back over it. It says, no, not everyone works for the bad guys. I'm just saying that the group called Satoshi Nakamoto had to release this new fintech exactly the way that they did. It was very important to them that the blockchain and the cryptocurrencies had grassroots adoption. It was important for the man on the street to make huge profits and spread the excitement. This helps others to get involved and speed up the growth of adoption. One of my biggest clues as to who this group was is the fact that 1 million bitcoins have never been moved from the original blockchain. No single individual could do this. Ego and recognition would take over. The need for some kind of finances would force some sale of those 1 million coins. The fact that it has not been moved shows that this is a huge institution or core agency. Yeah, oh man, he's right on with that. You know? I mean, just think about it. If you had an inventor, and he created bitcoins, okay? Just a sole guy out there, you know? And he has 1 million of them in a wallet. You know? He's not going to move any of them and sell them when they're at $20,000 a piece, like going back a few months ago, you know, or a year ago, when they're $20,000. He's not going to move one of them? I mean, just take you, for instance. If you were the creator of Bitcoin, right, wouldn't you want a little bit of glory and recognition? Well, all these fake guys out there are claiming to be Satoshi Nakamoto. They all want the glory and recognition, but they don't have the coins because those coins are sitting there in that wallet. Million coins. Can you imagine what they'd be worth at $20,000 a piece? And they're not moving. What sort of individual would have the fortitude, first off, to not take any recognition for his invention and to sit on 1 million coins and not move them, even when they go up to $20,000, or even where they are now at $8,000 a piece, you know? But an institution would have that fortitude. It says the fact that they have not been moved shows it is a huge institution or core agency. In my opinion, the Exchange Stabilization Fund holds the 1 million bitcoins or some other type of covert organization like them. And I mean, this is just ringing true to me. My own opinion, this is just ringing true to me. It says the power of holding 1 million bitcoins will be unfathomable. Excuse me, I'm not quite pronouncing it. It says the power of holding 1 million bitcoins will be unfathomable. This is the same stunt that the Exchange Stabilization Fund pulled back in 1933 when the Executive Order 6102 was signed on April 5th, 1933 by President Franklin Delano Roosevelt. Citizens were given $20.67 per troy ounce for their gold. A month later, it was revalued at $35 an ounce. This gave the Exchange Stabilization Fund billions of off-balance sheet dollars that they leveraged into trillions of dollars over the following decades. This slush fund gives them geopolitical power. So he's pointing toward the Exchange Stabilization Fund as possibly having these million bitcoins, and they've got trillions of dollars already. They wouldn't need to sell their bitcoins. Not like an individual out there. You picture Satoshi Nakamoto as some senior Japanese man that's like, you know, and he's the sole inventor and everything. He might need money. You know, I mean, his wife might come in and say, Satoshi, why haven't you got a job? And he says back to her, well, I got 1 million bitcoins. She says, what good are they if they sit in your wallet every day and you never spend them? Like that's really going to happen, you know? It says the same Exchange Stabilization Fund or other unknown agency will use the 1 million bitcoins to do the same thing. Once Bitcoin becomes worth millions of dollars each, you can imagine the leverage they will have. This is just my thoughts and speculation. I have no real evidence, only circumstantial evidence. It is an interesting theory, but I'd love to hear your thoughts. Well, I'm going to tell you what. My thoughts run in the same line and in the same vein. Otherwise, I wouldn't be actually doing this episode right now. I think all of these guys that pop up and say that they're Satoshi, you know, a lot of them are doing it for fame. They're doing it for money. They're doing it for recognition and everything else, and they're only doing it because the real Satoshi hasn't stepped forward and showed himself, and I don't think he ever will, because I think he's a group or a consortium. That's my opinion on it all. Take it for what it's worth, but I don't think we're ever going to find the real Satoshi Nakamoto, because I think this particular pretty much nailed it. It says this group is most likely comprised of individuals from the NSA, Federal Reserve, and Exchange Stabilization Fund, and MIT programmers and statisticians. And if all of that's true, it must be difficult. There's these guys. How many of them are still out there? And they could come forward and tell us the real truth about this, but you never hear them coming forward or anything. Anyway, this is how Bitcoin got started. It looks like it went way back into the 1990s. Now, I've postulated in other shows that I've done that it could be the product of back engineering, and I'm not going to rule this out, because this back engineering theory that I have, because what's the name for it? They have a law of the universe that basically, I'm trying to think of the name. I'm having a little bit of a brain fart right now, but there's a law where they've calculated how many planets are out there, how many solar systems are out there, how many galaxies are out there, and then they have a theory of what would be the percentage, the chances of life existing out there. It's on the tip of my tongue, the name of that, but anyway, they say that there's be millions of habitable planets out there, and quite literally millions of civilizations out there, out there in space, probably. And this is just doing it by the math, I'll tell you, if there's nobody out there except us, then it's a darn waste of space, I mean, and you look at how far space goes off, billions and billions of light years off, this direction and that direction, every different direction from us, and we're all there is. If we're all there is, then it's kind of a waste of all of those planets and stars and everything that are out there, wouldn't it? It'd be kind of a waste, It'd just be like, it would be like if you owned a house, if you bought a great big house, like a mansion with 5 bathrooms, and you moved into the closet, and you shut the door on yourself, and you only occupied the closet, and the rest of the house was empty. Is that what we're to believe? Anyway, how did I get talking about space and stuff? I'm not exactly sure, but anyway. Sorry, I've rambled on a little bit. We'll catch you guys in the next show. Bye-bye.